I see we still have some guests joining. Welcome to Time's Up, how to migrate from Google IoT Core to EMQX. So on today's agenda, we'll cover a few topics. We'll cover what is cloud, IoT Core. We'll cover the shutdown of Google IoT Core, GCP IoT Core migration strategies. We'll talk about some migration options, why EMQX, and we have some Q&A. And so for that Q&A, we do have our developer advocate, Mohib Zara, joining us. And I also have a special guest joining me today, Josh Eastburn, who is our director of technical marketing. Let's jump in today. So we'll start with what is Google IoT Core? So probably the reason why you're here today. So Google IoT Core is a fully managed service that enables secure communication between IoT devices and the cloud. For the most part, Google Cloud, right? That service has two main components: the device manager and protocol bridges. So what you'll see on the right here, starting with the device manager, is the device manager handles authentication, monitoring, and acts as a data broker. So it handles the device identities, the metadata, and makes sure that the device has secure communication and provisioning. Then on the left, we'll see the protocol bridge. So the protocol bridge brings in the protocols for both HTTP and MQTT protocols, enabling that device communication to send and receive between your devices and Google Cloud. So that data coming in is filtered and sent to your Google Pub Sub service, and then most of the time you have some sort of service that is filtering that data or making some type of action, triggering some type of action because of that MQTT data. Again, time's up. So since Google has decided to end of life the Google IoT service on August 16th, which is coming up very quickly. And so what does this mean? It's not just that support is ending. It's not that the software or service will continue to exist without updates. What's going to happen is after August 16th, if you haven't migrated your edge devices, the network communication will cease. That service is completely going away. And so if you do nothing, the devices will stop communicating. And we here at EMQX, we've helped many enterprises migrate their fleet over from Google IoT Core quickly, efficiently, with minimal downtime. So we understand that you do have multiple options, right? There's migrating to another cloud provider. There's bringing that service in-house, but using a specialized vendor like EMQX, it helps you create a solution that's easy to migrate and already integrated within GCP. So again, I do have a special guest with me today. So I'd like to bring on Josh Eastburn to talk about some of the use cases that he's seen recently and some of the customers that we've helped manage their IoT services. So Josh, I'll hand off to you now.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Glad to join you. And I think this is a good way to start this conversation because obviously this is a challenging time for IoT Core users. So I think it's great to set this conversation up by making it clear that people are making this transition successfully. And you can see just from this sample list here of some of the types of companies that we're working with, it cuts across the industry, right? IoT, it's been said, isn't one big industry. It's actually 70 smaller industries. And you can see we've got global pharma manufacturing, a few different types of, smart device connected networks, and even an example of like a multi-site operations monitoring type of application. IoT fits all of those different industries, and these are all examples of users who were on IoT Core who are now who EMQ has helped to transition successfully. So there's a very good chance that whatever your business is, Mr. or Ms. Viewer, you're probably similar in the area of one of these. You can probably make this transition successfully. Also, even though it might feel like time is short. And as far as what we can gather from all of these different use cases, right? They might look again like they're very different. Some of them. The important thing to understand, what people are looking for at this point, right? Now that we're like 2 weeks out, the people who are making this transition, people who have already invested in Google Cloud services, maybe have credits invested in the marketplace, right? That's an important common thread in all of these different use cases. And obviously, there are lots of different things that Google Cloud provides. So specifically what we're talking about here is you're looking for an alternative that's going to allow you to process connected device data, specifically over MQTT. That's kind of the core of Google's IoT Core service. So MQTT standard compliance is pretty important. You'll get different varieties of that compliance depending on who you look at, right? They may offer part of the MQTT spec, but not all of it. Some of them support other protocols as well. But typically the people that we are working with, they're interested in taking advantage of MQTT 5. They're interested in taking advantage of like quality of service level 2 type messaging and other features of the MQTT specification. So that's an important commonality here. And then this IoT Core services don't run in a vacuum. It's just one part of the overall infrastructure, whether you're talking about Google or anyone else. So having integration options to actually do something with that IoT data once you get it into your infrastructure, being able to peer it with other services or connect with things that are off platform as well. Those options are important in the people to the people that we're talking with. And then underlying all of that, of course, is your basic performance, reliability, what we call that, metrics. There we go. Because a lot of the devices that you're communicating with are always on, or in many cases, this is a device that's being sold to someone else, and that end user has an expectation of always on performance, even if it's kind of an internal only type of system, like in a manufacturing environment, right? The reason that people are moving to IoT is because they're looking for lower latency, higher frequency of data sampling, more granular across their whole organization. So it's not acceptable for it to be going in and out and giving you issues like that. So of course, that's a high priority for the people that we talk to. And I think in particular, because of the timeline, because this is a change that's being forced on users, they don't want a big learning curve coming into whatever the new platform is that they're moving to. So they're looking for something that's going to be easy to use, that they'll be able to jump into quickly, and that over the long term, they won't have to stress about figuring out how do I manage this system just to keep my business going, right? I think the big picture here for why were we all using Google IoT Core in the first place is because it is a managed service, and we're hoping to capture some of the efficiencies, the reduced cost of ownership of having someone else take care of it. And I think ease of use goes together with those same objectives, right? So the people that we're talking to are looking for those are the things that are kind of steering their decision-making process right now as they consider some of the different alternatives.
Thank you. Thank you, Josh. And I appreciate that insight. It's always amazing to me, as you mentioned in IoT, the diversity that we see coming in. So many companies, right? And what do they have in common, from manufacturing to smart homes to smart energy. We're all over the place, but again, that data reliability, that to over different networks, and to be able to bring in the data from these different devices. I enjoy it, and I'm excited and passionate to be part of the industry. So let's continue with, so why migrate to EMQX? This is probably my favorite slide here. So for one, EMQX Cloud is in the Google Marketplace. So makes it very easy available for our customers and prospects, our viewers who are already invested in GCP, who already have services on GCP, and as you mentioned, Josh, may even have some credits, maybe from IoT Core. And so they're able, it simplifies that billing, because you're able to use those credits toward your EMQX Cloud installation. So it's a smart choice for that ease. And again, time is up. So we want that migration to be as seamless as possible. And EMQX, we are the most scalable MQTT broker. We've brought in millions of devices. We have over 20 million downloads of our software, and we are based on open standards. And so what that means is, with whatever workflow, whatever data workflow you're creating, you don't end up being siloed into that standard, right? Into a proprietary standard, I should say, right? So I've seen many enterprises base their future platform on MQTT and including EMQX as a broker. And again, we're compliant with 3X, and up to now, we're actually launching our 5.1, compliant with 5.0 standards. And so we make it very easy with an intuitive dashboard. So now many of the functions that you had to write code for, now you can easily manage that through our interface, including your third-party integrations. So I invite you to look more into our blog and check out our site to see how we can help quickly integrate. So again, I do want to stress that EMQX is an official Google Cloud partner. So when you go to their site, their marketplace, and even if you go to if you go to Google's IoT Core site, you can easily find us there in their marketplace. So now let's talk about some IoT Core migration strategies, some things that you would consider, you are to consider, especially if you haven't migrated yet, over this next week or so. And so one is that authentication of edge devices, because we want to make sure that as we bring over your devices, that we do so in a secure manner, right? With both authentication and authorization, meaning confirming or authenticating that your device is supposed to communicate on your network, and then the authorization that your device has the ability to read, write, subscribe to topics on the network. And so that first part I would assess is that device security. And then management of edge devices, right? And And that can be a broad term. Usually with EMQX, we do not, or most MQTT brokers, I would say, do not control the device directly, but we easily integrate with many third-party services to help ease that management of edge devices. And so the biggest thing for us is managing and reliably that communication between your edge devices and Google Cloud services. And so one of the biggest questions I would ask you to think about is your environment, right? Not just your current environment, but where does your environment need to grow for the future of your business? And so the big consideration is not just cloud versus on-premise, but as Josh mentioned, many of us, the power of GCP and of these services are that they're fully managed. And so we have not just cloud versus on-premise, but also multi-cloud and VPC, virtual private cloud, and fully managed on cloud. And so we'll see not just these two choices, but hybrids and variety based on business use. And so I'll show you two specific examples of what your infrastructure may look like with migrating. So our first migration option I'll talk about is migrating to EMQX Cloud. And again, we make it very seamless. This is actually a screenshot of deploying EMQX Cloud in Google Cloud. And as you can see, we're also compatible with AWS and Azure. But if you're watching this, you are probably invested in Google Cloud, and we make it very easy to deploy on Google Cloud in the region of your choice. And also being able to size your machine for your workload, your business workload, and choose your billing method, whether that's hourly pay-as-you-go or annual prepaid. And regardless of whether you choose this cloud solution or an on-premise solution, we have some of the same considerations. Again, creating the deployment, connecting the devices securely. We do support TLS, SSL, and also a JWT, JSON web tokens. So we want to again authenticate and authorize, making sure your devices are secure in communications. And then the last few things that happen here are after that your deployment is created and you have your EMQX Cloud instance on GCP, then we're able to bridge your data to your GCP pub sub service. And so let me show you visually. I'm a very visual person, so let me show you visually what that looks like. And so on your left here, these are your devices. And again, we bring in MQTT. We do again very easily integrate with other protocols. We do have plugins that maybe you have some type of legacy protocol that needs a translation first. So there is sometimes a layer in between here to help with that protocol translation. But as you see here, we're bringing in MQTT and also MQTT SN. That's what I'm representing at the bottom here. And that MQTT SN is designed for more of the low power battery operated sensors or devices. Usually these devices have a very limited payload size, and maybe even they're not always on. They're sleeping. And so this is designed to save that battery power and make sure that when the device is awake, that communication is reliably sent. And so we bring in that MQTT or MQTT-SN data, and that goes into your EMQX cluster that you deployed on Google Cloud's platform. And that cluster, we have had one cluster handle up to 1 million connections. So these clusters are very robust and scalable, but again, very also easy to scale for your business needs. And so that cluster integrates with GCP Cloud Pub Sub, and then just as normally you're able to use those backend applications, those backend features that you're used to process that data, whether that be some type of SQL service or AI service that you're currently using. So we make it very easy to migrate, again, staying on Google Cloud Platform, but replacing that discontinued GCP IoT Core service. And we have great experience doing this across a few different industries. Okay, so I'll give you a second option here, and that is migrating to EMQX Enterprise. And so very, very similarly, we can quickly migrate devices. You can continue to integrate with your services on GCP. The question is for you to help make that decision is do you have strict deployment requirements? Maybe your team, you have a requirement to use a certain cloud service, or you have a requirement to have some of your data processing on site. We can definitely help you support these different models. And then also the other question is do you have a team to help support the maintenance, the software installation, and that will help you also decide whether you want to go with a fully managed service or do you want to handle more of that on your own in your own private cloud. So now let's take a look at what your infrastructure will look like when you migrate your IoT service to EMQX Enterprise. And again, your devices represented here on the left will communicate with EMQX Enterprise, which I'll point out is also available to be launched directly on Google Cloud, right? And so we make it very easy and quick to deploy and in the environment that you prefer and that you're used to integrating with. And so here you'll see our broker bringing in data from your edge devices, processing those through our rules engine, and then forwarding those to your GCP pub sub integration. And with that integration, we're able to share your data within Google Cloud to your different cloud functions, whether that be Cloud Bigtable, BigQuery, AI, and you're able to process this data for insights, for trending, to help you make business decisions. And I do want to point out that we have many resources on our blog, on our site. We have migration guides to help you, whether in either scenario, whether you choose to go with EMQX Cloud or Enterprise. We have detailed guides that will walk you through step by step what needs to happen during this migration. So now let's talk about some of those resources. One is all of our viewers today, thank you so much for attending. We can have answered. I see we do have a few popping up in the Q&A. So yes, please use the Q&A panel. We'll be bringing on Mohib shortly, but also I know like myself, we have some of those that like to dig into the documentation and jump in and try it for yourself. So one is try EMQX Cloud. It is you can get started very quickly, self-serve, and no credit card is required. And you can also try. We have a trial of our EMQX Enterprise. So what I have seen, and you can second this, Josh. What I've seen is many customers. It's not just necessarily a switch over. What I've seen is they will stand up an environment in an EMQX environment that's very similar to the one they're using now, and that way they're able to test. They're able to verify, right, but before this switch, but the actual and making the migration again very smooth and seamless.
And even if you think you might want to go with EMQX Enterprise, if you're thinking about going to an on-prem, or if you want to do a hosted VM, you can start with cloud. That's an easy way in just a few minutes to get an idea for what's included in the product. And a lot of that will be common with enterprise.
Thanks, Josh. And so yes, so try cloud, try enterprise. Subscribe to our blog, because we're very, very active on our site with blogs. We publish blogs very often, and again, this is where you'll find a lot of your detailed migration guides. And those of you that are on Discord, Slack, we're available there. And of course, follow us on LinkedIn and YouTube. And so now what I'll do is I see that we have a few questions in our Q&A, so I will bring on Mohib and moderate some of the questions that we have here. So first, thanks, Mohib, for joining us. Always good to have you.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Okay, so our first question today, Mohib, is from Reminder, and that is for mobile clients, Android and iOS in particular. What are the client SDKs features, especially towards first-time registration on a broker and using certificate-based security for integration?
Yeah, so we have a number of client SDKs, and we can provide those links. For Android, we have an Eclipse Paho Android SDK. For iOS, we've got a whole MQTT client framework. And the features in terms of, I guess, first-time registration or using cert-based security are the same you would find anywhere with our client SDKs. And in terms of, you can use, a cert private key and all of that. We have full ACL authentication. And if you go on to emqx.io, in our documentation, we have a whole section on security and what's available in terms of what security features you can enable on your EMQX instance and how you would connect.
I'll drop you a couple of links there back to our documentation and to a GitHub repository that we have that has client examples for a lot of different languages. So there should be something there that fits your need. You can see how it's done.
Thanks for that. Next question is, this is a good one. Is there a live demo of the integration where I can see how it would work? And actually, I can answer that one, Mohib, because I'm very involved in the technical content creation here. And I can tell you, yes and no. And so when you say live demo, we do not have an active right now a video showing the integration. And the reason why is such a diversity of infrastructure and types of devices that we use. Instead of making one video, we decided to make a lot of different migration guides. And so you'll find that you'll end up combining some of the different migration guides for your workflow. Some as simple as just how to launch your instance on GCP, to migrating your data over, to step-by-step of securing your devices. And so yes, we are attending some shows this year, so make sure you follow us, especially on LinkedIn, and you'll see the different events that we're attending this year. And that's where you might see more of the demos. And if you want to reach out to us, we're actually in POC with a few enterprises that have very large and unique needs that we're helping through this. And time is short.
And the question here is specifically, it doesn't mention which integration. I'm assuming we're talking about GCP PubSub integration. And so, yeah, like Ernest said, feel free to reach out to us. We would be happy to show you how that integration is done. It's very straightforward. All of the integrations that we have built into our products are, it's point and click. You fill out a few fields. You'll give information about, what the account is that you need to connect to and so on. But you're not going to have to write any code. And I will include a couple of links in the chat as well, so you can see the specific documentation in both cloud and our enterprise product for how that integration is done.
Thank you, Josh. And one other question I get, and this may be a related question, is how long typically does this type of integration take? And I'm assuming this is the integration between GCP and GCP PubSub and EMQX. And I'll take a shot at that one, because again, this goes back to, this is in relation to one, the business needs, right? Is there a difference between migrating 1,000 devices versus 100,000? We have had a customer this year that is migrating close to 100,000 devices. So but I can say that migration is one, ahead of schedule, and two, it's done with high confidence. And the reason why is that we were able to set up an environment that really replicates their production environment, including a sandbox, a pre-staging environment, and a production environment. So we're able to test them side by side and then migrate over in stages. And so the answer is, it depends, but usually this is done pretty quickly, and again, with very high confidence.
I'll chime in on that one too. I might be overselling this a little bit, but typically when people come talk to us and they're actually ready to sign up for EMQX and everything, they've already done this themselves. And so we usually see people do it within a day to a week, right? Sign up for a cloud account, go to the integration section and test out the integration for yourself. And typically people have already sort of figured out how to do that before they actually come talk to us. So it is very straightforward. And Ernest is right. Obviously, if you have a large number of devices that you're migrating over, there's going to be additional steps, and the time required is going to scale for that. But if you just want to be able to confirm for yourself that this integration works, that should not take much time.
Thanks. That's an excellent point, Josh. And we find that many of our customers, that's how they discover us, is their developers have downloaded our software. They've already proven the concept, right? So a lot of times that, and I'm excited that we're so involved in the developer community. And so actually our next question looks like maybe from a developer. And this is an anonymous attendee, but they're asking Mohib, can I ask if you are planning a guide to help new customers migrate from Google's specific use of JWT auth for devices, MicroPython in their case, over to your approach to JWT?
Yeah, that's something that I hadn't thought of yet. So I'd be happy to follow up with you on that and see what the differences are and how they do authentication through JWT and how we do it. Because again, we support all those authentication types in our clients and in our broker. So if there's not too much of a shift, I think it wouldn't be much of an issue.
Thank you. Thank you. And I will stress that any questions that we don't get answered today directly in our Q&A, we will get back to you on email. All of our viewers, thank you for showing up, and to thank you, we'll make sure that we follow up with some links, and you can always too reach us with questions through our contact us on our EMQX site. And so thank you very, very much for that question. And we try to make sure that we're very involved in standards organizations, including OASIS. And so we try to make sure that we stay away from proprietary methods and use open source common protocols, and stay flexible within that. So we're happy to help you.
Looks like that last question came from Ed. So he chimed in with his name there, so we'll reach out. I also included a couple of
thank you so
links.
much.
Yeah, I also included a couple of links in the chat that go directly to the migration handbooks that we offer. There's one for EMQX Cloud and one for EMQX Enterprise. So if you have an idea of which direction you might want to go in, that would be a good starting point. We'll also follow up and send those links out in follow-up emails. But that will give you the full step-by-step guide, so you can get a real idea of what that effort will involve.
And of course, you can always
Yes.
join our Discord, where you can talk with other customers and developers. So if there's any technical hurdle you're trying to solve, someone else may have done it in our community.
Yeah, here we go.
Yes, thank you. And you can
community
find
page.
that link on the GitHub site or link that Josh has shared. You'll see some invites in there to get to our discussion forums and Discord link.
Yep. Yeah. Discord, Slack, GitHub. You can find us there. I had a couple other thoughts too. If we take a break from questions for a second, I think I see a couple more coming in. So we do have a third option that's kind of in between cloud and enterprise, and I'll drop a link into that. This is a new product called Bring Your Own Cloud. And this would be for a situation where you want to take advantage of some of the features within our enterprise product. If you're planning for a larger scale deployment than what we might typically do on cloud, or if you have specific like data privacy concerns and you're interested in cloud, but you're not comfortable with the idea of your data kind of going through our infrastructure, Bring Your Own Cloud is an option that's in between, where it allows you to run enterprise in your environment or on your Google Cloud instance, but gives us the ability to manage and configure the system for you. So you still want to take advantage of a fully managed system, offers turnkey deployment, and then we have an administrative only window into just EMQX configuration, not your data. And so that is a third option. Let me drop a link to that for those who might be interested in taking advantage of that. And in addition, I'll also drop a link to deployment options, since we're talking about that. If you are looking at that, the option of deploying enterprise whether that's on your infra or somebody else's. There's lots of different ways that we support to do that. Everything from bare metal to, using Kubernetes, Terraform, and so on. Try to meet you wherever you are. Discord link. Ed asks for the Discord link, which is not on our community page yet. Do you happen to have that handy, Mohit?
Yeah, if you go to emqx.io, we have a community tab, and that should have the Discord link. I can drop that in as well.
Thank you.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you. And again, we will be following up with all of you that attended by email, but I would highly suggest that depending on how you interact, for me, the blogs are great. I actually consume a lot of our own blogs myself, and as a it really helps keep up on some of the latest things in the industry that we're doing. EMQX has, I would definitely consider us pioneers in the industry with, again, with support for not just MQTT, but MQTT-SN for those sensor networks, for low battery operated devices. We are the first MQTT broker to support MQTT over QUIC. And so we actually have a webinar out there on our site for you to watch if you're interested in that. If maybe your devices communicate over a network that's in and out, it's great for autonomous cars and smart vehicles. And so I believe that's one of the reasons why Google recommends us in the marketplace for MQTT is that that innovation, that high level of reliability, and we love working with our partners. And so as we come close to time here, I'd like to thank Google for that partnership, and we'll continue to help support those that were using the service. Josh, any closing thoughts as we wrap up here?
I think wrapping up the way we started would be good. Lots of people have made this transition successfully. You can too. We are happy to help you do it. And as you can see, hopefully we've got a lot of different options to fit whatever your particular need is, your particular architecture. Yeah, don't worry. Time might be up, but that doesn't mean you're going to be left in the lurch. There is still a successful path to migrate through this change.
I could not have said it better myself. So you have roughly about 2 weeks. We are here to help you migrate with whichever option you choose. Thank everyone for joining us today, and thank you, Josh and Mohit, for joining me, and thank you for your insight.
Absolutely. See you in Discord, everybody.